Yo, what up, YouTube? I just want to talk about George Kambosos versus Maxine Hughes real quick before I go on this walk with my dog. I have to say that kind of mad. I'm kind of glad I waited to make this video because George Kambosos came out recently with an IG story that he said that if you look at the fight and you watch the fight, then you should know that he didn't lose and that he totally won. But I have to say that I massively disagree with him. I like George Kambosos as a fighter. I think George Kambosos is a good guy. I really liked him when he beat Teofimo. I liked when he beat Lee Selby. I picked him to beat Lopez, actually. You won't find it on here because that was before I made a YouTube. But I did. You can find it on boxing groups. But my point is that yesterday, Maxine Hughes is basically everything Kambosos can struggle with. Kambosos is a basic fighter. I wouldn't say he's shit. I think he's a good fighter. I just think on his best day, he's a good counterpuncher, and that's about it. His style is waiting for the opening, waiting for the guy to counter, waiting for the guy to shoot, and him shooting back. That's why he did so good against Lopez. Lopez comes forward, pressures, and does all that stuff, and that gives Kambosos so many opportunities to counter throw. So I don't think it's necessarily his fault. That said, I think it is his fault in this case that he doesn't do well against pure boxers. Look at the Devin Haney fight. That jab neutralized him. The second and first fight were pretty one-sided. And then yesterday, for all you want to say about Maxine Hughes is a beast. Motherfucker knows how to box, beat Kid Galahad. But it's ridiculous how the scorecards ended up going. I mean, at most, I was watching the fight. I think I could have gave Kambosos 4 rounds, if I'm being generous. That's the 12th, maybe the first, and then that's couple swing rounds if you don't want to say. But for the most part, when I was watching it, I felt like Maxine Hughes was controlling the fight, controlling the distance, controlling where he wanted Kambosos to be, landing better shots, landing better counters, not letting Kambosos dictate the pace, and not letting Kambosos dictate the footwork. There's a big thing. If you watch the fight, one of the big things that I low-key kind of don't understand why Kambosos let happen was Kambosos kept putting his foot on the outside of a southpaw where he's trying to like fight, but you're trying to fight for that position on the inside where Kambosos really wasn't trying to do that at all. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, it's a lack of fundamentals, and it doesn't matter if he changes coaches 100 times. It seems like he does the same thing over and over. He does that weird shifty thing. He does that come forward and throw random shots. There's no real essence of a jab, and his footwork is kind of all over the place. It's not the shit on Kambosos. I like him. Like I said, he beat Lopez. I think it's a great win, underestimated win, and I think people disrespect him too much for Kambosos supposedly being sick. I think Kambosos did great. It's a great style for him, good counterpuncher. But when it comes to a pure boxer, That said, I saw Maxine Hughes win 10 rounds, and if I wanted to be generous, maybe 7, maybe 6, but he still should have won the fight. I don't see any way in hell that Kambosos wins. The scorecard 117-111 is bullshit. That judge deserves to be fined. Boxers need to unionize. Things like this can't happen. We have to keep talking about this because the robberies at boxing are ridiculous. It's killing the sport. It doesn't help that we have Tyson Fury versus fucking Ngannou in a month or two. It doesn't help that we have big fights and they're soured consistently with shitty decisions. This can't happen if we want the sport to be a worldwide phenomenon. One of the big things that pisses me off is that we just had Loma versus Haney, and in my humble opinion, I think Loma got robbed. 6-6 at most, and I had it 7-5 for Loma. I just didn't see how Haney won that fight, and they gave it to him anyways. I didn't see how freaking Kambosos won this fight either. I mean, I'm telling you, being as nice as I can't. I just saw Chocolatito get robbed against Gallo Estrada the second time. I could see how Gallo won the first, but just things like this where the decision is so obvious to the viewer and people are just robbing it to rob is ridiculous. It's a spit in the face to people like me who actually buy these fights, who support it. I have an ESPN subscription. I have a fucking DAZN subscription. I pay for pay-per-views because I'm in the market of liking fights. I want to support the shit I watch. I don't stream this shit, but like it gets hard to justify it to a consumer like myself when I'm watching something that's rigged, and not even talking about the bullshit that just happened with Barrosos and Rolly. And now we have it happen with Kambosos and Maxine Hughes. How am I supposed to have faith that on Tuesday, fucking Stephen Fulton is not going to lose just because he's in Japan? How am I having faith that in a month you expect me to pay for fucking, not even a month, in a week, you expect me to pay for Crawford versus Spence, well knowing that Spence is the Showtime fighter who's going to have the 17-11 scorecard, but doesn't have Showtime behind his back? This is ridiculous, and I can't stand it. Aside from that, I think Kambosos is a good guy. I don't want to shit on him. I think people shit on him a little too hard. But I do think he lost that fight, and I do think he should be 20-3. I don't think he won at all. I think Maxine should still be an IBO champion, and it sucks on him that there's nothing to do to reverse these decisions. It's the same thing with Sandor Martin versus Lopez. I can't stand this shit, man. And it's like, you want me to continue paying for this bullshit? Then you have to fucking justify it with fairness. And if I can't even get that, why in the fuck am I wasting $100 every fucking year on DAZN? Excuse me, it's $225 now. Why am I wasting $5 a month on Plus? No reason. It's just to see bullshit like this. And why am I even paying a Showtime subscription, man? $10.99 on the app every fucking month just to see Rolly get robbed, just to see all these other fucking stupid shit happen, and then still have to pay a pay-per-view on top of it? Like, I like this sport. I love this sport. I think people need to not get it twisted. But the last couple videos have been somewhat somber because the tone of the sport is going in the wrong direction. Simply put, Kambosos, if you're watching this, you have to understand, I was one of the biggest supporters. I actually picked you to win against Lopez. I thought Lopez was in over his head. A lot of things going wrong. The Thriller to DAZN. And I even said you have the perfect style to beat him. I still think you have the perfect style to beat him. That said, you didn't win that fight last night. And I still like you as a fighter, and I still support you. I just can't stand what the judges did, and Maxine got robbed. That's really all I have to say. It's peace. Yeah, bye.